Good morning, Internet. It's your boy, Cruz, and we're back in the food forest. There's some more magic that we want to share with you guys. This is a really special spot in the forest. There's a lot of really interesting plants right here. Some that I want to share with you guys. This is a tall Nemwa banana. This is one of the most productive, strongest banana cultivars that we've learned. And growing on this banana is this beautiful beast right here. And this is Chayote. Chayote is a vining squash, and it's quite unique. The fruit themselves hold a big singular seed, and the whole fruit is edible. The leaves are edible, the stalks are edible. It even has a big edible root. So this is a plant that we consider kind of like a monster. And when she gets up in the canopy, she goes off about half the year, mostly in the summertime. And she drops these big, awesome fruits. And I'm gonna see if I can get one for you guys. This is usually my tactic. Okay. Quite meager today, but this is a good example of what it looks like. This is a really small one, and sometimes the bugs get them. You see that little hole? That's why it fell for me. But this is a tiny chayote. This is a smooth skin one. A lot of times there's many different varieties and they have ridges, and this one's really easy to peel because the only part you don't really eat is the skin, except when they're small like this. I think you can eat the skin when they're small. This beautiful tree right here, this is ulu or breadfruit. This is an extremely important tree. I would say this is the most important tree in our forest and one of the most important trees on our island, because this tree can give us so much food sovereignty. This is a starch that grows on a tree. If you look at most of the starches in the world, they require an annual production of fields. Let's say rice, grains, cassava, all those need to be tilled and worked. Now, this is a tree that's going to give you massive starches year after year, and the fruit is always edible. These are the thinnings of the tree. As you can see, these guys are filling up right now, and they're going to throw off the ones that they can't support. But when they hit the ground, they are still edible in this young stage. And when the fruit becomes all the way mature, they're going to excrete some sap, and that's the signal that they're ready to eat. And even after they hit the ground, they're going to be soft and kind of sweet, and you can still eat them in that stage. So the breadfruit is an extremely important crop. It's propagated by root cuttings. They're going to send up little shoots on the roots, and you're able to dig up the roots and nurture those until those become healthy trees again. And then you could replant them and start a whole ulu forest. This should be in everybody's yard in the tropics. This could provide us so much food. What the fuck? So what we have here is a beautiful coffee tree underneath a breadfruit, and we're trying to keep her about this height, and we're doing a damn good job. And we have good example of the green berries and the black ripe coffee berries right now. So this is it. This is what makes the world go around in the first world countries, coffee. And inside these little berries, there's going to be 2 beans. There we go. So these are the coffee cherries. And now that looks familiar, huh? These would be dried, fermented, roasted, pulverized, brewed into coffee. So quite beautiful tree. Thank you. Thank you, coffee. We're friends. So who we have here is Sacha Inchi nut. She is a perennial vine coming from Central America and has beautiful star-like pods on it. It's very geometrical, and she makes these pod clusters, and inside of these clusters there's a seed, and it has 2 casings that you have to dehusk. And then the seed is really high in omegas, but you have to cook it. You can't eat this one raw or it'll make you throw up. So she also has really beautiful little flower clusters, and this is a perennial vine, so she just goes and goes and goes. So could be a really good staple plant for having nuts, for having those oils, but she can reseed very readily. These are all babies underneath here. So she should be mindful that she doesn't reseed into your system and kind of end up taking over. A lot of these plants can be very pushy, so you have to be mindful of their reproductive cycles so they don't get out of control. So Sacha Inchi nut. And in here, we have two beautiful plants. This is black pepper. This is a very, very special plant. She's making her pepper corns, I guess they're called peppercorns, right here on these clusters. And pepper is a vine. This thing has just started to fruit, and we're in year 8 right now. So this plant takes a long time to fruit. But let me tell you, fresh peppercorn is like something completely different. So spicy, so fruity, oh, so much more complex than black pepper that is dried and stored. This is flavorful. You can see why people went so ape shit for black pepper when it was first introduced to the Western world. It can be propagated by cuttings. And this beautiful one right here sitting next to our black pepper is Flamengia. This is a nitrogen fixing tree. This is somewhat of an OG permaculture plant, but has been MIA for us here in Hawaii. This was brought to us by our boy Freddie Mango. Thank you, Freddie. I love you. You're one of my best friends. And from what Freddie's saying is the leaf takes a long time to break down, which is very helpful at suppressing the crazy grasses that we have here. So Flamengia. It needs to be scarified. The seeds need to either go through the digestive tract of a bird, or they need to be boiled or scarred to germinate. All right, we have vanilla right here. And vanilla is a beautiful orchid. It is an epiphyte, which means it grows on the tree without causing it any harm. And this is a jackfruit tree that she's growing on. She's just cruising on the edge right here, finding herself a little niche. And this is coming from Central America. And here in Hawaii, we do not have the pollinator that pollinates this flower. So what we would have to do is open up the flower and touch its touch its genitals together, and then it'll be able to make us a nice bean pod. And that only happens with a little bit of human intervention. And we have a beautiful little fairy named Natalie that comes over here and does that for us. Thank you, Natalie. We love you, babe. And that's what makes these so amazing, is because it takes a lot of love and a lot of patience to be able to get vanilla. And how lucky are we to be able to find this beautiful little flower, which only happens early morning and late afternoon. So that's fun. We're going to go see the fluted pumpkin. Shh. This is the fluted pumpkin. Majestic. This one's coming from Coconut Chris on Big Island, Plant Legends, Jungle Man Extraordinaire, rare fruit seed collector. And this is originating in Africa. They would grow it for the edible leaves, and they would also grow it for the edible seeds. We haven't tried the seeds yet because they're so valuable to us. We've been just replanting all of them. And this is the first one that has really been happy for us. So we just stumbled across this the other day on complete accident. We thought this vine got eaten by the forest, but it found a nice little sunny edge, and it's been working on creating this gigantic pod of life for us. And this is kind of a representation of what I find valuable right now. Finding new plants that can feed people and that have been feeding people and that are kind of on the edge of obscurity. So what a beautiful find. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Paul Massey. And thank you to everybody that puts their love into this project so we get to bathe in the beauty of things like this, the glory of what nature has been creating for millennia. You want me to just hold it, look at it? My face against it, it's fucking hard.